Well, you didn't think it was possible, but we're starting with four people on the pod at the same time. I honestly can't remember the last time this has happened. I think the last time it happened, I think even Jeremy might have been one of the four who was making a podcast appearance. So that gives you an idea of how long it's been. But here we are, four people on the pod at the same time to start because it's everyone's favorite topic. We talk about the draft, we talk about free agency, we talk about the trades, but the reason everyone really turns in, it's for the power rankings. Come on, everybody knows it. And I got to say, I am wildly appreciative of the six folks who gave ranks for this time through, and especially the three other folks who joined the podcast here: Bill from the Broncos, RJ from the Eagles, and Brandon from the Giants. Gentlemen, how are we?
I'm fantastic.
Blended.
Blended?
Sure.
Was that splendid or blended?
Splendid, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say blended. I was hoping was some kind of margarita reference, but you know. Anyway.
Sadly.
So, as mentioned, it is pretty much the last point of no return before the draft season really kicks into high gear. I think we're 2 weeks away from the actual NFL draft itself, and our draft coming closely after, where the picks will be coming slowly and surely to start, and then fast and furious from there. But again, is a stopping point to say kind of where are we so far in the postseason. What we've done is split the team so far up into four tiers. Maybe next year, which is the teams that are definitely in the building process. Fringe playoff team, which is, you know, chance of making the playoffs, chance of making that leap, but maybe not there yet or potentially going the other direction. Probable playoff team, and then contenders. We'll do more ranks and specific ranks and stuff like that later, but, you know, in terms of making sure we get some opinions in there, those were the tiers that we went into. We'll go through tier by tier, talk about a couple of teams that we had in that tier that others may not have. If there are some clear consensuses, talk a little bit about those. We'll try and talk about everybody. I promise nothing, because when we start talking about teams, we end up being on this thing for 2 hours, and it's already 10 o'clock, and I would like to sleep tonight. So without further ado, let's kick off with some of the unanimous teams in the maybe next year division. And I think a couple of these that we can go ahead and just kind of cross off the list were Jags, Lions, and actually, no, the Lions weren't unanimous, were they?
Lions is not unanimous.
The Lions were not unanimous. So maybe we'll just start with the Lions because I like to stir shit up. So, Bill, everyone else the Lions have some work to do. Tell me, why not?
Well, I don't really know, man. I truly don't. I think a lot of it depends on like what he can do with his draft picks. Like he's clearly going to take a quarterback, what falls there, and then continue on. But I mean, if you look,
bad Bill. This is the rankings pre-draft picks.
Oh well,
we can't take that into account.
He's still on the fence.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That backup defensive end in Jacksonville is not going to take him anywhere. This team.
Oh my God.
Amari Rodgers. No, they're all like wide receiver fives.
I mean, Amari Rodgers is the wide receiver one in Green Bay right now, right?
Yeah. All right, you got me there as of right now.
You know, no, I maybe projected a little bit with him, but yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at it right now, you know, he better hope that Jalen Hurts gets injured. But overall, you're correct. I would say I would need to remove him from the on the fence line as of today.
Solid group of safeties, though.
Yeah.
So again, you're basically saying he would need a quarterback coming out of this draft and a couple other well-placed picks to round out the squad. And if things break his direction, 6-10 or 6-11 is outside the realm of possibility.
Oh yeah, I think he could very easily fall out of a top 5 pick next year, depending on what happens. But you know, his division won't allow him to compete, but it just is what it is for him.
Yeah, you get a quarterback with 102, you get a decent offensive player at 118.
Mhm.
Your 2s and 3s go towards defense. Your 4s are like lottery picks and various different things. You could build out a pretty decent team if you hit on a good amount of them. So it's not unreasonable to assume that they will, like, if it's good picks, like he'll probably pick up a couple of wins that depending on what side of the opinion you're on, they might
Yeah.
not be wanted.
Yeah, I mean, he could run into some bye week luck. You never know. But I don't know. Clearly, for what it's worth, that's my only projected location, solely because he has the picks to make differences. But yeah, we can move on. Sorry, Nick. False hope for you.
Boo.
As is well with all Lions fans everywhere. False hope every year. All right.
Well, another team that we can talk about for all of 5 seconds, because that's all it's going to take, is another unanimous decision, the Saints.
Is there an owner for him? Like, is he getting replaced?
I think that's a fantastic question, and I hope to find the answer out to during the draft.
We've got 2 weeks before it actually matters. Because he holds a shitload of 2s, doesn't he? Like, he's on the clock for a long time.
Yeah. I was looking to acquire some 2s, and I was like, who has a couple? And I was like, oh, the Saints. That's a bummer.
You can't get those.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Texans is next year's 101. And probably the year after that. And maybe even the year after that.
Well, I mean, he's got Watson now, right? So it depends on the size of that suspension. But it may just be a one and done for that. Who knows?
Maybe.
Also,
I don't
Caleb
know.
Farley, crucial part of that deal.
Dude, I looked at just sidetracking here. I looked at the idea of extending Deshaun Watson. He would be the highest paid quarterback in our league this year if he was extended based off of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
There's a reason just about everyone in this league got an offer.
Anyway, yeah.
Texans roster is just light.
Super light.
Very light.
All right, sticking with the idea of dissenting opinions here. RJ and I had a team in the on the fence tier that Bill and Brandon had in the on the fence on the wait till next year tier. RJ, would you like to help me defend the 49ers?
Oh, did I really put the 49? I did not put the 49ers in there. They are in my maybe next year.
Oh, sorry. Was it really just me?
It was only you.
It is just you.
Me. Look at that. Okay.
I made a summary tab. Like, might make things easier.
That would make things much easier.
So I sorted it by like lowest value, which means like highest ranked team theoretically.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't the only person to put myself in the second tier. Ha! Look at that. Holy shit. Well, that's an interesting one. All right. Well, we'll get to that. Wait, your formula may not be working here correctly.
Yeah, I don't know how the Saints have 7. I don't know what's happening there.
And the Buccaneers have 7 with 3 votes in there.
Well,
it's all good.
Probably because some of the hidden. No, there's no more hidden columns. I got rid of them. I don't know. I'd spend 5 minutes doing this.
You tell me to look at something and then it doesn't end up working. Come on. Yeah, the Saints have 7 items here. Anyways, you know what? This is a very high quality production. We take a large amount of time with our research and invest extensively into the tools we use for this podcast. So I hope everyone appreciates that. But
all right, Mike, defend the 49ers.
All right, I guess I should probably pull up that team here.
Tell me why Sam Hubbard is going to score enough points to get that team to have a respectable amount of wins.
Because of Marcus Mariota.
So I think that is unfortunately part of the thesis here. Item 1 of the thesis is the division.
Yeah.
the Rams are clearly in control of the division. The Seahawks have already started tanking. The Cardinals are very likely tanking. Well, not tanking, but well, never mind. The Cardinals are potentially building, but don't necessarily have the full complement of pieces on the roster. If the Rams take a look at things and say, hey, I got Baker, I got Swift, and that's, and Waddle.
So he's got a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
and
I've got a
good
backup
running
quarterback.
back. Yeah.
He's got a couple of pieces, but again, nothing that you're saying, okay, this team's going to be more than one and done in the playoffs. And I believe his trade bait right now is looking for draft capital for 22 and 23. So you've got the Cardinals, who have invested everything into a couple pieces and everything else. The Seahawks, who have already come out and said they're tanking. And the Rams, who very well could be in a sell mode. And then you have the 49ers. You have enough pieces in place to score enough points to make yourself a conversation piece. Is Mariota the long-term answer in Atlanta? Probably not.
I mean, definitely
Is he
not.
going to start probably at the beginning of the season? Probably yes. The running backs aren't ideal, but you have between Royce Freeman, Ronald Jones, and Marlon Mack and McKinnon enough of the, I'd say, committee backs that you can make that work. Gallup should be back at full strength and good to go. And you got a couple other useful receiving points there. The point is, you've got a good enough defense. You've got a good enough offense. It's probably a 500 team. And we're talking about the NFC West here. We're not talking about the NFC North. We're not talking about the AFC East. We're not talking about the AFC West or the AFC North. We're talking about the NFC West. So with that in mind, can he get to 500? I think so. I think there's a path.
I think if Gronk actually comes back and plays, he could challenge the Rams.
I think that is a respectable argument, and I might agree with it.
Yeah, because I also believe that Rojo takes over the lead role in Kansas City by week 6, not due to injury. Because Clyde sucks.
How do you really feel?
Right.
Bill, I'm always here for your takes.
I mean, he's not great. On the just alone that he can't stay healthy, Rojo will have this job. But I also like Rojo more than most.
All right, which one are you?
You could probably argue the 49ers is the deepest team in the division.
I can agree with that.
Sure. Yeah.
A couple like shrewd consolidations into some stronger pieces. I mean, I don't know. Like, I could see it. I would probably consider moving them up.
Just turn that 110 into a
103.
decent,
Now you're talking.
or a decent quarterback.
Right. Malik Willis.
Hey, come on, guys. We shouldn't just shamelessly use the pod to do nothing but try and sell our assets.
He said it, not me.
You both
All
said
right.
it. And if
All
I
right,
had
49ers, join me after the pod.
all right, which one of you guys had Cowboys as on the fence?
Nobody.
Nobody.
The second sheet has them having 1 on the 3.
No. Panthers. has me.
Yeah,
I-
Vikings. You have them on the fence.
I have them on the
you
fence.
with all these hot takes.
Jesus
do, yeah.
Christ. Come on, guys. Get a little spice in your life.
All right, so apparently you assume Cam Akers is going to run for 2,000 yards this year.
So let me get to the Cowboys here, because even though I didn't intend to make myself the centerpiece of this podcast, you all decided to go Galaxy Marine on me. So I think the Rams backfield will continue to be a productive at a running back 1 to 2 level. So I think he's going to have enough there. God, I didn't realize the receivers were that bad.
I think you just need to look at the division and realize it's not possible.
Yeah.
That defense is going to be good.
He's,
but-
so he's
Don't
so
forget
he's gonna,
TJ's on IR.
so he's gonna win every single non-divisional matchup.
Right.
God, yeah, that's right. TJ's on IR because he's going to get paid.
Yeah. He's not sure if he's going to pay him or not.
It's not even that. It's not even that expensive. I don't know why he hasn't. He has 50 million in
He'll-
room.
He'll pay him in week 17.
Right. Right. Oh,
So you-
man.
How,
We'll
how
continue
you
to just,
avoid the
you know,
points?
tank things and stuff like that, but who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the point is like there are pieces here where like this roster. Put this roster in the NFC West, and it could be a conversation.
If there is an awful catastrophe to like one of the other teams in the division, and this team picks up a couple of decent like picks in the draft, sure, like it's not unreasonable. But like as of right now, just going up against the rest of the division, I don't.
Well, let's also recognize that TJ's going to have to come off IR because Keanu Neal's going back to safety.
Yeah,
Doesn't
That's
have
fair.
to.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been a Irv Smith homer, so I've liked him probably more than most. I think Trevor Lawrence can't be worse than under Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna. I think his position in the draft, he's gonna have his choice of one of the top receivers, so he can round out the core there, or his choice of D end. And between once he pays T.J. Watt with Micah Parsons and a couple other pieces, I think he's gonna be a surprising team. And if we're talking about if he is on the maybe next year tier, he's the member of the on maybe next year tier I don't want to play.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he has a real shot to be very similar to the Bills next year. Like he's got a solid defense. He's got a fair offense. Just needs to keep building it. Yeah, I think that could happen. Absolutely, if he pays enough attention.
Yeah, the teams I had as maybe next year: Steelers, Texans, Jags, Chiefs, Lions, Saints, Cardinals, and Seahawks. Now, just by the sheer fact of putting Goose on the maybe next year tier means that he's somehow going to roll off 5 wins here or something like that. But who knows? But basically, if you're saying he's part of that tier, he's the top of that tier. So I would say because he's the top of the tier, there's kind of my explanation as to why I have him the next level up. But I can understand that he's maybe he's maybe one piece on top of that away from making that jump. Like if he added a wide receiver 1 or a DE 1, then he would be there.
Fair. Okay.
All right. Well, you guys have some hot takes here. I'm tired of talking.
Well, you're the leader of the pack here. You gotta keep us going.
I was actually going to ask you guys why. Oh, never mind. Shit. No, it just seems like we are all in opinion. Oh, I mean, other than like Panthers has Bills on the fence, which like that team finished second. And
yeah, he also has me maybe next year. He has some very interesting takes in this list.
All right, so I'm going to close out the maybe next year tier because we are again the 8 teams we have there, or the 8 teams I listed: Steelers, Texans, Jaguars, Chiefs, Lions, Saints, Cardinals, and Seahawks. I think we all have there. I don't think there's any
Colts.
I don't have Colts there.
I don't have Colts there either. So how about you talk about why the Colts aren't there yet?
I just don't think they're there. I'd rather hear why you guys think they are. RJ, go.
Wow.
All right, they have a rental quarterback that is going to produce.
Okay.
At running back, but you know, there's a lot of teams that aren't great at running back.
Nothing at receiver.
If running back is I mean receiver
Hey,
just as bad.
Don't you badmouth Miles Boykins. Boykin. He's gonna do something eventually. And Marquez Stevenson is gonna do all right. Isaiah McKenzie probably still has a job somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, his best offensive pieces are his tight ends.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Two
Oh,
of
and
them will
the
start
GOAT.
every week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay at defensive end. Okay at linebacker. Actually, really good at cornerback.
Yeah, I think he's doing good at corner.
And then
Good at corner.
Middle-
That's
middle
one of
of
our
pack,
pillars for a team. I don't know.
Hey, you never know, man. You never know. But I'm on the side of Giants. I don't think he's got it this year. You know, I think that he knows exactly what he did whenever he took Tom Brady for $46 million.
Well, he might not have it this year, but he certainly has it more than, say, Saints and Cowboys.
Sure. But I mean, on the fence is what, playoff pushing? He's not that.
Yeah.
I'd say he was a potential 7-win team, especially in that division.
No.
Yeah, the division is, I think, the only thing that does him any favors. But I just don't think he's there yet. I think there's pieces, but I assume Brady's going to be traded to a QB needy team at some point next year.
No. Colts is going to hang on to him for the death grip.
So, again, for those saying that 7 is impossible, he's going to start out 1-1 because he's got the Titans and the Jags. Then he's got the Texans the next round. We'll chalk up the next 2 as losses to you guys here. So call it 2 wins early on. Then he's got the Jets. Then he's got the Steelers. He's got the Rams, who we talked about are probably going the other direction. He's got the Cardinals, who are probably moving the other direction. And he's got the Jags. The 49ers are on there. This is a team. The Seahawks are on there. Again, he may have the easiest strength of schedule in the league. He's got the Jags and the Texans, and he's got the NFC West.
Is this our correct schedule?
Whatever let me look at this here.
I'm not sure.
Let me look at this here. What is the situation?
So if this is the correct matchups,
so he's basically like what, bye week filler hopeful?
No, these aren't. These are last year's.
Okay, if these are last year's, then yes, I changed my answer on this. But if he's got his division and the NFC West, he's got a path to 8-9 in that range.
Okay, so the AFC South plays the AFC West, the NFC East, and 1 game against the NFC North.
Okay, so then this isn't the accurate schedule. So that drops him down for me.
Yeah, the East is going to kill him. The West is also probably going to kill him. And whoever he gets out of the North, I'm guessing, the second place team? Because didn't he finish second last year?
No, he finished 3rd in the division because it was down to Titans and Texans until the last week.
Right. So in the North, who finished 3rd for you guys? Bears?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So he gets Bears. Good luck.
Yeah.
All right. Based off that, I'll drop him down to maybe next year.
Okay.
So one team that I think we all had in the maybe next year category, it looks like it was Steelers. Yeah, I think it's probably my strongest team in that category. Yep. At least one of them. Because I feel like I would consider bumping him up, if not for the division that he played in.
I would consider bumping him up if it wasn't for the fact that I'm pretty sure he's just gonna wait another year and he's
just being patient.
He knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's go to on the fence. That way we can get away from these garbage people.
Brandon, why are Browns on the fence?
So the way that I did my rankings was I did like the division, who I expect to win the division, and then I picked the next 2 teams that I thought were the best, that were like definitely making the playoffs, and then everyone else that didn't fall into those two categories basically got moved to on the fence. So the people in italics are the ones that I felt the strongest about. So Bills, Browns, Bucks, myself, and Packers were those folks. So to me, those are very likely playoff teams, but could find themselves on the wrong side of the bubble.
I think
So
Browns is way too strong.
Long-winded way of saying that I don't not like them. I mean, obviously, like the receiving core is ridiculous. I tried to trade for pieces of it for the last like 2 years. And I think, yeah, the roster's pretty strong. It's just a matter of that division's going to eat itself alive, much like ours.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that one. All right. Who else? I can't call out Falcons for putting me on the fence. So who else?
I think he was one of the first folks to do his, so it was likely before some of those defensive trades that you made, which probably changes his point of view.
Yeah,
it did for me. I bumped you up to a playoff team after some of those acquisitions.
Yeah,
I think we're all like
pretty bad.
I think we're all like genuinely in consensus here. It's either they're in on the fence or they're in next year, for the most part, and then everything else is playoff teams and contenders.
Yeah, it's like my like slight differing on. Bill, why do you have Giants on the fence?
Well, let's go right ahead and look at that, don't we? Why won't we? One is division. Two, it's just one of those situations where I like the team a good bit. I think that there was moves made, obviously, to change situations, and as of today, especially after the Fred Warner trade, I feel pretty confident that we're looking at third. You know, I mean, you might be there, like obviously, because you never know with how the season will fall. But I don't like Blake Martinez as much as I like Warner, and I don't remember what the deal was that we did, but I don't like your receiver group quite as much as I did when you had Diggs in there. I feel like it just kind of took a small little downturn. I mean, nothing's wrong with your roster at all. It's just personal preference. I think that I just happen to like Washington and Philly better.
To be clear, I also like Fred more than Blake Martinez. But Blake Martinez plus Michael Walker, I think I get more points that way for my linebacker position. I'm pretty high on Michael Walker. Stepping into, I'm not even going to try and pronounce Foy's last name. Yeah.
Foye
Oluokun.
Oluokun.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. I don't know. I personally like two rosters better than yours in the division.
I agree with you. I have both of them ranked higher than myself.
Yeah, I'm not like I'm not super sure how I feel about you having James Robinson as your RB2, given that he's coming off of a horrible injury that no one comes back from. And I don't know. It's just
5 years ago.
Cam Akers just came back from it.
Cam Akers fumbled away the playoffs almost like 3 times. So
he also almost killed a man.
What?
He also almost killed a man. Who was it? Buda Baker?
Oh yeah, that hit.
Oh
yeah.
right.
So like, don't he's fine.
Yeah. Okay. No, like I said, I just personally like other rosters more. And that's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, yeah, it's this group, right? The on the fence playoff teams, like it is going to be like cutting hairs based on your preference and honestly, who stays healthy and how we react to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Yeah, but I mean, honestly, like it's just going to be a fun mix in there through the middle of the season to see where things fall. But I don't know. Playoff team wise, I think this is interesting where they've come down, like who has what and where. Did you guys all do 14 teams for the contenders and playoffs in total?
No. I
Oh.
did not. I did not
Okay.
do. I mean, I don't know. I have to
I
count.
did 17.
Okay, because I did 14 intentionally.
I should
No,
have, but I didn't.
I believe I tried to do less than the playoff bracket.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I also screwed up because I have 2 teams from the West and all 4 teams from the North coming out of the AFC, so it's not possible.
Yeah. So when I was like intentional about like, all right, let me get the division winners in first, and then I'll fill
Yeah.
in from there.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just put them in all willy nilly how I felt like their teams were stacking up.
Sure. So, Mike and I have Vikings in not contender range. Mike, I know you don't want to talk about it, but
I'm fine talking about it.
well, I know you don't like talking about your own team. Ben,
That's true.
yeah, you kind of brought it up earlier in the chat, and I could not genuinely agree with you more. Like your roster's great; it always will be. It's just not what it was. It's not what it was. And Grant, yes, we all know that you're going to make like 30 more trades by the time the season starts. So who knows what it's going to be? But yeah, I don't know. If I'm looking at like this is the team that I'm going to see at the end, I'm looking at others.
He has in theory 3 running backs.
He has no quarterback.
He has the Miami running back.
Right.
The backup in San Francisco, and then the starter in Denver.
Right.
3 legit wide receivers and 1 guy who's probably gonna like fight to be the return guy.
Yeah.
He no tight end. I mean, they're like some guy. Degura will spell Tanyan until he's 100%.
Right.
Defensive tackle's fine. Defensive end's fine. Linebacker, like defensive end isn't great, but like
it's better than most.
Franklin Myers is a stud. The rest are solid, and this is just assuming that like Hunter isn't Hunter for the whole year, but is Hunter for some amount of the year.
Sure.
And like that's just being cautious. He's probably just going to be a monster the whole year.
Sure.
Linebackers are shallow, but like solid.
I mean, I don't think they're that shallow.
I don't think that's shallow.
There's 4 like, I mean, in my opinion, like bona fide like 10-point a game at least linebackers.
It will depend on where Mac falls. If he falls to D end or if he stays at linebacker, it will.
Okay, that is fair.
If he falls to DN, God help everybody.
I see it as like 2 3/4 decent linebackers. I don't know if Jamin Davis necessarily like takes the jump that everybody projects.
That's true. Ron Rivera is pretty soured on him.
Right, and like I can see Mac being a large impact to that team, but still putting up something like 100 points.
Sure. He has no quarterback.
He does have a quarterback.
No, he doesn't. Jimmy G is still the starter.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
Yes,
he's
is.
He's just on the roster.
You guys, oh my God, Mike! I know it's fandom, but like you can't say that Trey is going to be the guy when they can't get rid of Jimmy G for a second.
They can't get rid of him because he can't pass a physical right now because of his surgery. I got you, Mike. I got this.
I guarantee you that he is the week 1 starter
for another team. Sure.
No, in San Francisco.
Oh no! Then Mike only gets 16 or 17 weeks of Trey Lance.
Well, did you do any research before you made this take?
I don't believe Trey Lance is a thing. I
Great.
told you
Did you do
guys
any
that
research
last
before you
time we
made this
talked.
take?
Jimmy G is still a Niner, correct?
Did you do any research before you had this take?
Other than just general knowledge of what I know about his situations contract-wise, no.
So
I know he
what
just
the
had
GM said
surgery.
about the quarterback situation, what the coaches said about the quarterback situation, what everybody involved in the team has said about the quarterback situation. Didn't check any of that.
I think that Jimmy stays.
Great.
I do. I do. I don't know what Kyle says. I don't trust the Niners. They lie through their ass every day. Like, they're the most untrustworthy organization you can say.
Wow.
They do. They don't tell the truth. Why would they? But they don't tell the truth.
Matt is about to just sign on real quick.
All right. Yeah, no more. How do we even get on? Like, I didn't even get to.
I just skipped to me. Like, this is fantastic.
He has decent cornerbacks and decent safeties. Let's go on to the next team. I don't know how we got the quarterback.
We just got on a rant about Jimmy versus Trey. That's all.
He's a solid team. He's a solid team.
Oh, for sure.
Even if Trey Lance only puts up 67 points again.
Sure, absolutely.
Only if he puts up 67 points.
Right.
And they have to be in the most crucial times.
But okay, Mike, why don't you like your team as much this year?
I think it's because of in a effort to maintain roster flexibility and financial flexibility, I inserted a lot more risk in my team. Taking what was going to be a cost control of Jonathan Taylor and Austin Eckler and converting that into the Miami backfield and Javonte Williams, for example. That is a far less stable situation at running back than I had last year. And that's kind of an across-the-board statement. Almost every position, I think I may have increased my ceiling, but I think I have decreased my floor in many different areas. So because a lot of how I'm going to finish is based off of what happens at 7 and 8 for me and 21. I think all of those are going to be important picks for my team, either the picks I make or the player I get by trading out of those picks are going to be important picks for what my team ends up being. Mm-hmm. What happens with Mac? I have a lot of money tied up at linebacker this year. And as RJ mentioned, who knows if Jamin Davis makes the leap or not? Mm-hmm. It's a question. To maintain depth and roster flexibility, I sacrifice some of my high-end talent, which means that either I need players to step up into those roles or I'm not going to be as strong of a team.
Sure. Okay.
So I think my depth is still there, and that's what I'm valuing over anything else, is wanting quality depth at each position so I am +1 basically across the board of anything. So I'm a little bit not injury proof, but a little bit injury resistant. Mm-hmm. That being said, injuries can still slam me and I can be screwed. Jimmy G can somehow maintain the starting quarterback role in San Francisco and I can be without a quarterback. A lot of things can happen to my team. And it's a riskier proposition than I was last year. And that's why I put myself in the playoff team and not the level of the Falcons, the Commanders, the Chargers, the Bengals, like those teams that clearly have established starters at key positions and depth. I'm not that team.
As of today.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
All right. Well, at least I don't think I'm that team. The rest of you love me, and thank you very much because I do fancy myself the people's champion. So speaking of controversial teams who are making that leap into that top tier, RJ, how's it feel? You haven't even made the 101 yet, and you are apparently a contender.
It feels good. I mean, I still need to make a few more moves, but I'm happy. Probably paid a little bit too much for some things, but solid team.
I mean,
let me rephrase. Panthers and I made you a contender.
Yeah.
everybody else still thinks you're a playoff team, but
Yeah, and I
To be-
appreciate it. I do think very highly of myself. Just
no, go on.
just looking at my team. I mean, my secondary is terrible, but we all
Those
know
are easy to
fine.
fill. That's
Right.
You won't take Kyle Hamilton 101.
No, I'll probably just take a running back 3.
Right. No, I will say this. You would have been in a contender ranking for me had it not been for Falcons and Washington. Falcons automatically gets put in there for me, as does the Bills, because they made it to the title last year. So until they're beaten, they're in. And then Commanders is just better than your team right now. I can't tell why. But no,
That's fair.
yeah, just like with Giants, I like your team and I like Washington better, and then I just like Washington better than yours. As of today.
I think I stack up well against Washington. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't look like a rout when we play, but I do think they are the better team right now.
But yeah, I mean, you guys are gonna have a fun division. I mean, y'all are gonna hate it, but it's gonna be fun. Oh man,
It
Yeah,
is
I wanna
fun.
see
Honestly,
the-
it's fun to be in a competitive division.
yeah, it makes it more fun. But and then you have my situation where you beat Matt, and then he just pulls away from everything, and it ruins your life. But no,
Do I need to play some Air Supply right now?
no, but I don't know. I mean, I think that do we differ much on the playoff teams?
Not really.
so
Yeah, I mean,
the top like 5 teams are Commanders, Falcons, Chargers, Bucks, Vikings.
I mean, like Mike, of course, with his controversial ones, has Dolphins in the playoffs when I have them probably at the bottom of the on the fence teams, almost at the
Yeah.
maybe next year.
yeah, agreed.
Are you so vengeful, RJ, about your pick last year that you're going to move them from your Super Bowl pick to a completely out of the playoffs?
I do hold a bit of a grudge for
I-
that one.
I have them winning the division.
Really?
Dolphins?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be productive this year. Whether he's the quarterback the year after or not, we don't know. But
Have
think-
we spoken of his defensive ends and linebackers? is-
Let's look at that.
I like his linebackers a lot.
Huh?
What? Who are they?
Devin
Ernest
White,
He has Ernest
Ernest Jones
Jones
was great in the playoffs.
and Devin White.
Baron Browning is a linebacker I really like
Who?
Baron Browning is a LB3.
for like the most injury-plagued linebacking core in the history of football. Yeah.
Yeah, but Alex Singleton is there to take that slack.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. Denver's been like mocked to take a linebacker in round 1. Well, not anymore if they don't have their pick, but I mean they've been mocked to take linebackers. I don't think they like their group right now, but I guess any of them could technically come through.
His running backs?
I mean Saquon is Saquon though.
Saquon and Geis, guys. This is good. This is good.
The one and 2 in 2018.
We've
I
talked
do
about
love that the
Singletary a
105 is still
lot.
sitting right there next to Darius, guys.
Yeah, Singletary is going to be
Yeah.
solid if they don't take a running back in the draft.
Even if they do, I think Zach Moss pretty much isn't going to be a factor. So it's likely that Singletary is still in that committee.
Sure. Depending on the running back they take.
Yeah. So I mean, from like a Giants fan perspective, like I do expect Saquon to have his strongest year in the last couple of years this year, purely based on the fact that they've brought in a center, 3 guards, and they're going to be taking a tackle within their first 2 picks in the draft. Like they've completely rebuilt this offensive line from what it was the last couple of years with Gettleman.
Did they rebuild his knees?
I think they're still working on that.
Like, I like Saquon. I do. I used to love him. It's just I don't know. I've soured on him just like everybody else has. I think, but I see the value. It's just a questionable value.
Yeah. Until he gets hit by Dante Fowler,
Right.
Larson, or
Right.
hold on, Hassan Reddick is now in Philadelphia, or Chase Young, or Mark. Who's the other kid in Washington?
Montez Sweat.
Yeah, no, he's gonna get murdered multiple times this year by that's a terrifying division for edge rushers.
Yes, I do like the receiver group, especially now that Judy has an actual quarterback thrown to him. He needs tight ends, but he's not garbage. He's just not going to win the division.
So at the time, right, like Bills didn't have a tight end or Miles Sanders. So they just had Pollard at running back and
the starter,
Bateman, and it's one running back.
That's all we need.
Oh,
Is
that why Mike has 7 running backs and Falcons has 6? Yeah,
Mike has 7 running backs because he can't pick one of the Miami guys, and it's a smart move the way he did it.
I mean, Bills did it with this roster basically last year, so I'm not gonna
pretty much.
Unless he tears it down, I'm not gonna completely doubt it.
I mean, he already did. He traded Brian Burns.
But he got
and Hicks. Those are 2 of his, besides obviously Garrett aside, those are his 2 other strongest defensive pieces last year.
Yes, he after the trade, I do believe he got worse, but I don't know if he's terrible.
Yeah, I mean he's still.
I don't say he was terrible. I just said that's why I liked Dolphins a bit better.
He's not
division win.
I don't think he's bad enough to lose the division.
No.
I don't know. I find myself agreeing with Brandon here. I think Saquon is too talented to not have things go his way one year and be a top 5 running back. I don't know if that's now. I don't know if that's next year when he's on a different team or what.
Oh, it was his rookie year.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. He already had that year.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case. So, I still think there's potential there.
Potential to be James White.
There's a lot of unknown with the Giants entirely. Daniel Jones is the biggest question mark, just like he was last year.
I do enjoy that you guys won't make any hot takes when it comes to teams, but when it comes to players, let's go Fuego, baby.
Oh yeah,
Flames coming out behind you.
Pick out players on teams, and I'll
Just
tell you.
Aim Bill at a quarterback, and he'll have a hot take.
You know what? It's later in the night. I'm a little bit more spicy. Let's look at some trades. I'll give you some hot takes.
Oh, then we need to wrap this podcast up if you don't mind.
No, I'm talking about the trades that have already happened.
Oh, fine. Anything else that kind of jumps out at you? We can continue to go through this in future pods, but kind of beyond first glance. Anything else that kind of pops out that you guys want to touch on from a rankings perspective?
I think I'm not trying to put myself into the conversation really, but I think it's interesting that I'm in 3 separate categories: playoff team, on the fence, and maybe next year from the Panthers.
The Panthers said it was maybe next year.
I have you solidly in the playoffs right now.
Yeah. I think that Panthers. Let me look at this here. You want a hot take? I'll give you a fucking hot take.
Let's fucking go, Fuego, baby. Fuego.
Panthers can't really give you a hot take. Shit, he has a better roster than I expected him to. Probably why I put him in on the fence.
Crash and burn. All right.
Well, not really. I mean,
he has a solid team.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty solid. Depending on what happens with Trubisky in Pittsburgh, Deontay Johnson can retain his top 10 value. Tyler Boyd is solid. Cedric Wilson is going to die in Miami, so that kills that.
He's just going to battle Trent Sherfield for the return.
So 107 is going to be a wide receiver.
No, it needs to be a running back.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Whoever's left over, Isaiah Spiller, let's say, because he's probably going to be the fourth running back taken, or third running back taken.
Right.
Like that's not like saying you have to take that, but like that's probably who, and you just have to hope that's a good landing spot, or you take a wide receiver. But like he already has solid ones, like Johnson's solid, Boyd's solid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, he's got far worse than I thought.
It's literally just
right.
Boyd and Johnson. That's all it is.
I retract some previous statements. You might need to just take best player available.
Yeah. Stafford's gonna do solid again.
Yeah.
Obviously. If I was him, personal opinion, I would probably look to move Stafford into picks and other assets, just solely based on the fact that the depth on the offense isn't there. But that's my take. I don't see Drew Sample or one Miller Forrestall being anything at tight end, whoever the fuck that is. But no, I don't know. Panthers could do something, but interestingly, I don't think he will.
I like how this turned into you talking about your team in 3 divisions and then just attack the guy who put you lowest.
Fuck Panthers.
Fuck Panthers, but his team's not that bad.
No, he's not. I think his team is well on its way.
Yeah.
To talk about your team, Bill.
Yeah, you want a hot take? Panthers. I like Panthers team better than Bills.
There we go.
The Buffalo Bills?
No. Broncos.
No, mine.
I don't know. Like that.
Could you explain?
He's got.
You might not have a starting quarterback.
Yeah, you don't really have a quarterback, but you have a fantastic running back that you should probably trade me. You have 2 solid wide receivers. You have a solid tight end, like above average.
Yeah.
Your defensive tackles for now are.
They're
It's all right. Shelby Harris will be one soon.
Probably.
Cam Jordan's probably still going to give you 200 point season while doing television every week. I don't know how many more he's going to do, but it's solid. And I actually like Golston still is like a rotational guy. Like 100 points as a rotational guy isn't unreasonable. I gave you David Long for next to nothing, and now he's like a top 25 dynasty linebacker, and I hate it every time I look at it, but he's solid. And like Okariki's the same type of thing, like just solid, ridiculously undervalued.
Mm-hmm.
You have AJ Parker and L'Jarius Sneed. Why did I never realize that? I should have tried to shake you down for one of those. You have some solid cornerbacks too.
And let's not forget the most expensive safety trio probably in the league, right?
I would take Jamal Adams just so you can have all of the most expensive safeties.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, I did have Jamal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave him to you, Mike. But yeah, I fully don't like Justin Simmons being $13.5 million. There's nothing I can do about that right now. He's still going to give me 175 to 200. I'll be fine with that. And then, I hope that Franklin or Hartsfield does something in Carolina. But
why? Who cares? I bet you.
Because if I need.
Wingard's going to probably give you 175 in Jacksonville.
Probably,
they're not going to make any effort to replace him.
Right, but if I need to move one, it would be great to have 4 out of my 5 as legitimate options I can just pick. So it's one of those things of eventually maybe an in-season move of like, oh shit, I need an actual defensive tackle. Okay, who wants Sam Franklin, who's starting in Carolina? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I bet
Not
you.
even contract.
I bet you Settle.
Right.
Settle gives you some ridiculous amount of points that you don't.
Dude, Settle's going to
notice.
kill it. He's going to kill it in Buffalo. I know he is. Like it was one of those moves that I didn't realize happened until the auction started and his name came up kind of early. I was like, what?
Yeah, I hate
And
it.
yeah, and then it just was like everybody was like, oh, he's going to be 2 down run stuffing, like nonstop young stud in the making.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm happy with him. But yeah, I mean overall,
25 tackles for losses, like just
Right.
something disgusting like that.
right, exactly. But I mean overall, I mean my entire team comes down to Mitchell Trubisky. Like the entire thing comes down to the Steelers quarterback.
I mean, or just any one of your prime positions not getting hurt.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I can survive if Najee gets hurt as long as James White is healthy.
What?
When Tyler
Yeah.
Huntley becomes a starter next year.
I sold him. I put him 3 years on because I expect him to get traded. But
I wouldn't say he gets traded. Just
do you think they don't sign Lamar?
no. I'm talking about this year. Like at some
just
point he will
injury
start
again?
some amount. Yeah, he will start some amount of games. He will be a starter for like some period of time.
Sure. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I fully hope that. I mean, I'm a Pittsburgh fan, right? So having Mitch is great, but I am fully aware that there's a chance that Trubisky gets Trubisky'd in 2 weeks at 20. But I'm very hopeful that they do the smart thing and just take a fucking offensive lineman. Because, God, they need to protect that guy better. No matter who it is, they just need to do it. I don't care if you take fucking, round 2, you take Sam Howell or whoever the hell it is that falls. But round 1, take your lineman or take somebody to replace Claypool.
Yeah. I'd love to see them go lineman in 1 and Ritter in 2. But again, I don't know if he falls for it.
Desmond Ridder would be great. I would love it. I would love it so much. I would
Pretty sure
even be
that
okay.
the Falcons are taking Ritter.
Oh, probably. I would
They sent like 15 people to his pro day.
Honestly, like in a weird way, I don't like him all that much, just like generally. But compared to the quarterbacks that are in this class, I would be okay if they gave Green Bay a 2 for Love, like just to take him instead of taking one of these rando quarterbacks in the draft.
But I think that's the thing you do before you sign Mitchell Trubisky to like 15 mil a year.
Oh, for sure. But Mitchell
are
Trubisky's contract is why he's going to start the entire season.
Are we really going to talk about Mitchell Trubisky?
No.
Fuck yeah.
So 2 teams that I think we should still touch on that are like in the conversation are the Bengals and the Ravens.
Man.
Should we? I mean, do we want to talk about Chris?
Well, okay.
So
Right.
the
Chris's
Ravens.
Let's
team,
talk
like-
about the Ravens.
Yeah. Chris's team is like unchanged from the end of the season.
Right. He hasn't done anything.
So maybe just the gentleman's nod to good roster still solid. But Ravens
still doing it without a quarterback.
oh wow.
The Ravens have a default tight end coming their way whenever Taysom gets switched, and that's going to be very interesting. To have 2 starting quarterbacks, a new starting tight end, and a pretty like solid offensive setup.
Yeah.
Like he's ready to go.
Is it a solid offensive get up though?
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette, Christian Kirk is like the $30 million
so
a
you're
year
talking
man.
about his team. Got it.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about like the Saints in real life.
Oh no. No. Jameis is going to use the shit out of Taysom though at tight end, so that's going to be very helpful. But no, Ravens in our league is set. Like I think he's going to do very well in this division. I think he's going to do great.
With what wide receivers? The
with
wide receiver 2 in
Kirk,
Carolina.
Moore.
Carolina.
with
Who?
Marquez, with MBS,
DJ Moore is
DJ Moore,
definitely
and
their number
Christian
one.
Kirk,
The wide receiver 2 in Jacksonville.
and the wide receiver 1 in Kansas City.
What do you
The
got, Juju?
no,
Juju's not the wide receiver
you have,
1.
You have to
I didn't-
stretch the field.
Who's wide receiver 1 in Kansas City?
It's not
MBS.
No,
Yes, he is. They gave him $30 million. There's no way he's not the wide receiver 1 right now. As of right now, well, okay, sorry, Travis Kelce is the wide receiver 1, but
And
At
wide
the end-
receiver 2.
yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, MBS is going to be the main guy at the wide receiver position. Juju is going to be awesome for sure, and whatever rookie they take at 19 and 20 this year is going to be great as well. Mecole Hardman is a joke.
yeah,
I can't.
He's perfect
wait.
on that outside stretch Y roll.
Yeah, yeah.
Hardman
So
is
it's
literally
gonna
go-
just
throw-
yeah.
Juju in the slot where he was successful in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
You throw MVS as the X, and you throw Hardman as the Y. Again, with Kelsey playing the tight end. So
Mhm.
if you ask me who's the X role, I will agree. That is if X is the primary receiver,
Right.
that's MVS.
Right.
If you want me to place a bet between who is going to score more fantasy points between Juju at the slot and MVS at the X, I'm going to bet on Juju there.
I mean, fantasy points are different from real life, and I understand we're playing fantasy,
I
but
think in a
I mean-
best ball setting, MVS is going to be very valuable.
Again, I'm not
Yeah.
diminishing his value. I'm saying
Yeah.
from a fantasy receiver perspective, who is the most valuable receiver in Kansas City?
I
The guy
think
who
in best
can go
ball you
deep.
could argue MVS's, but in redraft, I think you go
He's probably still
Juju.
going to put up like 87 points.
in like 1 month.
Nah, the whole season.
no, it's going to be interesting. I mean, this is all as of today. I mean, in 2 weeks they're going to have 2 rookie wide receivers
I don't think
exiting
there's
in
again.
round 1. You don't think what?
Why? No, but seriously, why?
I mean, what else do they need? They need a safe. They need a
Defense.
safety.
They need they need
a
about
safety.
10 starters on defense.
Yeah. So in a defense-heavy draft, they just traded for a bunch of picks to build out their defense.
True.
I assume they're taking a corner for sure.
in round 1.
hmm
That would be interesting. I could see like wide receiver D end. I could also see like
They
D
lost.
tackle D end.
They lost their 2 corners and Tyrod in free agency.
L'Jarius Sneed is all that matters there.
They're going to trade Mahomes for the 101. Just take sauce.
Mahomes and Lawrence on the same team. Please let it happen.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. No, going back to Ravens, I think he's going to be solid. Maybe his linebacking core is the weak point of his defense, but that's very flexible. I mean, he has picks, right? So he can do something with that.
He does. He's got 129 that he's been shopping and 201 that he will not move.
Which makes no sense. If he's going to shop 129, just move the fucking 201. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No, you want that guaranteed. You don't want the 5th-year option. You want to be able to extend them. This is a smart man.
It's
That
our
contract-
fault. We've talked about how valuable this pick is. So because we've talked about how valuable it is, clearly you can't move it.
The
Yeah.
201's worth more than the
It
126.
is. Yeah. I don't know where in the 20s that equation flips, but for sure 129.
Mm-hmm.
Either way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Should we talk about some of these trades?
Let's do it.
I'm not going to spend any time on Texans and Broncos, that trade. Bill, I don't know how many roofies you slipped Texans, but you should be ashamed of yourself. That man has a family.
That was rude.
Do you want to know the best part?
No,
That's the only
leave
why.
it for after the podcast. Come on.
Okay. Okay.
That's the only that's a terrible trade. That's why I tease you about him like getting moved to a different position.
Right.
He probably won't, but like
I don't know,
and,
man.
and well
I don't know.
until we have confirmation, I'm gonna give you a hard time. Just because
Okay.
you got him for pennies.
I got him for $4.19.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
a steal. And you got James White. Like here, take a free 135 points at running back. I know, yeah, it's expensive, but whatever.
As long as he's healthy, he's worth it.
But he hasn't been healthy for 3 years.
I know, but 1-year contract.
Yeah,
I'll run the risk.
It's definitely worth the risk if you have the cap space. But
yeah. And then the Eagles is the next.
Yep. Getting AJ Dillon, DeAndre Carter, and Hunter Renfrow for Callaway 123, 211, 329, and the Commanders first. So good amount of draft capital moving in this one, but getting Dillon, who I think we agree is probably a top 30 to 35 running back in the league, and then Renfrow has been in top probably 20 and 25 receiver in the league. So, running back 1, wide receiver 1 for a lot of late draft capital. And
Renfro's only going to do better. Yeah, Renfro's only going to do more with Devontae there.
Whoa. I don't know about that.
I don't know if he'll have a higher statistical output, but like he's certainly going to be like close to that 1,000-yard mark, if not slightly over. Maybe less touchdowns, but like certainly a high amount of targets, good amount of receptions. Like he was one of the higher in conversions to catches. So
yeah, I mean I think he'll be good, but he's the third option in that offense.
Behind Waller, that's not unreasonable.
I do think the interesting piece here is DeAndre Carter though, and Marquez Callaway getting swapped basically.
Yeah. I messaged RJ right after that trade because it was right after the news that Carter had got signed, and I was like, oh my god, that became instantly more valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean you get all these pieces, and then you trade the Saints wide receiver 2 for the Chargers punt returner, which is fine. I still love the deal for you overall. It legitimately it puts you in a top 5 team for me.
Yeah, even if like the argument could be said that the value might not have been equal, I think it definitely, like where your team was and where it is now, like it puts you over that hump.
Yeah,
right. For the time being, I don't see a wide receiver or a running back at 123 producing like Dillon or Renfrow. Like for this year.
Not this year.
And same goes for the pick that like I'm just moving the picks for points, for proven points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Panthers, Titans, Clowney, Floyd, 327 for 122 and 214.
This is proof that always believe in your dreams, kids. If you believe that you can move 2 players for a first and a second, never give up on that dream, because if you try hard enough and you ask enough times, you will get the deal you're looking for.
I'm amazed this deal happened. Not because it's not like worth the deal necessarily. Clowney's not even on a team right now, and it still happened. That's the part that amazes me on this one.
I'm sure a lot of us have had conversations with Panthers. A lot of us weren't deterred by I know a month or two ago he posted in the trade bait like, this is what I want for these players.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of us weren't deterred by those costs.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of us were like, well, let's just pump the brakes. I want to see where Clowney gets a job.
Yep.
Right.
And like to see this happen before, but all right. And like the third added on, like
right.
Okay.
Right. That's hoping that, I don't know how much about it Clowney being involved as much as Titans might think that Floyd takes over for Von Miller.
Well, Floyd's probably like value wise the 214.
I think Floyd is just going to do what Floyd did last year.
Yep.
Be good in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not like I don't think Von took Floyd's snaps. They were playing together.
almost 10 sacks. He's going to be a monster.
But
No,
he's
sol-
30
solid.
or 29. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So
But-
just is Clowney with like an undefined team and a third,
Yeah.
with the 122. I think it's debatable. Like it's not awful. But like I think I said it in the chat, like Titans got like drastically better. So
Yeah.
like good for Titans. That
Yeah.
like I guess that's a win.
Yeah. I mean, I had him winning the division based off of his roster post this trade. So you can say that I view this as a good thing for him too.
Eagles getting Carl Lawson for his future first. So truly embracing his role as a contender and moving his future first for a potential rising asset. Lawson being locked in at $1 million is not a bad thing. If he can bounce back, this could be a very valuable or either a valuable trade or a very big miss for RJ.
Yep. I figured even if I want to turn my first round pick into a first round pick next year or this year, like to pick up a defensive end, I think at a point where like my first could buy one of the firsts, like those quality defensive ends are just gone. So I figured I'd go with Lawson. I don't know how hard I necessarily shopped the first for like just specifically a defensive end. Pretty reasonably, but not crazy. But I like Lawson. He's still young. Yeah, he's had a bunch of injuries, but the times that he's not injured, efficiency wise, he's like a top 10 defensive end. So I
think
just hope for a return to form.
The way that the Jets draft will also be very telling for how they view Lawson as part of their plans going forward post injury. So they take a pass rusher with one of their 2 picks. There's definitely enough holes to go around on the Jets roster, but it'll be interesting, I guess, to see if they address that position at all in the first round.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I think it just turns them into the Seahawks. They just become a rotational front four more than they do like replace Lawson or Franklin Myers because they both have huge deals. So just adding a rookie would just be rotational.
I mean, it kind of would be like, their 49er light blueprint, right? Take another pass rusher.
I mean, what was it? There was an interview with Saleh the other day that like somebody asked him like if he was considering taking a pass rusher early in the draft, and he said like it's not off the table, but there are like other things on the defense that need to be addressed.
Yeah, they've been linked to Sauce with the Giant. Like the Giants and Jets just keep like sending people at Sauce. So
that's it. That he has to go there. Like he is the biggest like star in the draft as far as like like star power.
Yeah.
And he needs to go to a place like New York that's going to let him,
He needs to go to the Jets.
Yeah.
He does need to go to the Jets.
Jets version of like Odell, like, star power.
Yeah.
He needs to go to the home of Revis Island because he's going to sell himself as the next Revis Island.
Ooh. I like it.
Pouring a little sauce on Revis Island. Anyways. Giants.
Yep.
We already talked about this one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I love Fred Warner, especially with that contract, but I think Blake Martinez is still a tackle getter in the league, and Michael Walker is a future cost-controlled, high-point potential linebacker. So I turned one asset into 2 and got to move up in the second round a bit.
I think getting a move up is pretty impressive out of this.
Yeah.
I think Martinez should come back to be equivalent to what he was before, which was right in line with Fred Warner's production, moving up in the draft and grabbing Walker. I think this is just a complete win for you. I hate both of these trades for Rams coming up next.
Yes. Yeah.
My trade is Giants' fault. He wouldn't give me Fred Warner for 216, and I didn't have a chance to offer Steelers 216 for Blake Martinez.
Well,
Well-
you got the same kind of deal that I got out of Texans. You gave up nothing to get CJ Mosley.
No, I gave
No,
up
the
216.
216. Yeah, the 216 is valuable.
Okay, so you saved a shitload of cap space and gave up a mid-second and got
Mhm.
a stud linebacker.
Yeah.
So again, you give up CJ Mosley. So, and I don't hate this because I love CJ Mosley, but you give up CJ Mosley and you get back Giovanni Bernard, Quintus Cephas, Malik Turner, Lorenzo Carter, 423, and a round 3 pick from the Bears next year. I'd like everyone to pull out the Webster's dictionary and look up in the dictionary poo platter.
Yeah.
That's what we got.
Okay, it's the Rams.
So Carter is likely to be a starting defensive end for Atlanta.
I'm sorry. No, stop. Based off of what?
Yeah,
Their
he's a linebacker.
current roster. No, he's what they run a no. He is
They run a
pass
3-4.
rusher.
They run a
They-
3-4, and he's an outside linebacker. Tell me how he's going to be at the end.
Okay, I did not realize that they were a 3-4.
Chiefs found a sucker. He's been selling that whole
He's
like
been selling that as a
Carter-
DN
Yeah,
all
for a
off
while.
season. And it is he is an outside linebacker in a 3-4 and slated to be an outside linebacker in Atlanta, who ran a 3-4 last year and is going to run a 3-4 this year. Goose has been selling that as a DN,
Yeah.
and it is bad.
It's
for
nasty
him.
that he got it.
I'm not going
It's
to get into that.
nasty.
Mm.
Yeah, the only linebacker that has even a remote potential as of right now of going to D end is Khalil Mack.
No, Vaughn.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bills
Vaughn
are a
is
4-3.
on PFF. Vaughn's listed as a defensive end.
is he
and
really?
MFL
So,
usually
again,
goes
they run
by
a
that.
4-3. He could be a move that direction. It's a 3-4 in Los Angeles. Mack
4-3.
is probably staying as an outside linebacker there.
Yeah.
Right.
Williams is so
Fair enough.
Carter is moving from an outside linebacker at the Giants
Yep.
to an outside linebacker position in a 3-4 in Atlanta. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a poo-poo platter, especially one that I've got to pay $12 million for.
I don't necessarily hate Carter, but I don't value him anywhere near like this.
The
this
mid two.
price. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's
as a
get the-
Giants fan, he never showed up.
No, he
his
was-
entire 4-year career.
He was mediocre for 8 games his rookie year. He was
Yep.
injured all his second year. He was good for like 4 games his like the third year. No, last year was his third year, right? No, 4th year.
No, he played it out.
Yeah.
This is like in those sports simulation games like NBA 2K or otherwise, where it's like the deal is close, but it's not quite there yet. You just add like a 4th and 5th round picks until it ends up working.
Mhm.
That's what this deal feels like to me. Is I want an asset in CJ Mosley, and again, RJ, I'm not blaming you in particular for this. I'm just looking at what this ended up being.
Mhm.
I want an asset of this, who is a 120 tackle linebacker when he's healthy, in a situation that is going to feature him as the Mike, assuming he can kind of get himself back to where he is. So I get that I put some caveats on that, but if you look at the pieces that got added around that, not a single one of those pieces I feel safe saying, yep, I'm going to get an equivalent piece back at that pick or with that player. Malik Turner is a stretch to make the Niners roster. Lorenzo Carter, we've talked about it at length here. Gio Bernard was a stretch to make the Tampa roster last year. We'll see if he actually makes it again. Cephas is intriguing, but his situation got a lot more crowded this offseason.
Yeah.
And then a future third and a 4th this year. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, at some point at the beginning of the offseason, like Cephas's value was like, not like he was going to be the number 2 to St. Brown.
Yeah.
And like everything looked amazing. And like I probably could have turned him into a second. And now he's like just slightly more than a throw in to like make cap space.
Yeah.
And it
it's-
hurt. It hurts.
Yeah, they signed 3 guys to be the wide receiver too.
Yep.
We spent a lot of time on this trade.
Yep, sorry. So anyone who's got a running back has seen the offer from Buccaneers of DJ Dallas, Duke Johnson, a first and a second for a running back. Commanders pulled the trigger on that, giving them Zeke and fourth and a fifth. I like this for both. I like the opportunity of Zeke bouncing back for the Bucs, especially since that gives him an RB1 at that point. It's a good sellout from Commanders because he's going to flip those picks for more pieces. So I think it's a win-win on that one.
I mean, I think I don't know. I kind of think Commanders got the better end of this. DJ Dallas is probably going to put up like a reasonable amount of points.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, he's kind of like he's solidly their return guy and gets like good production.
And he has Carson, so it's kind of a hedge.
Right.
The Seattle backfield.
I don't know what Duke Johnson's worth relatively nothing. He's more of a burden than anything. And then the 1 and 2 for like Zeke, who's kind of declining. Like, yeah, that's fine. Like, it's not nobody got ripped off on this, but I'm like, it's interesting that Washington was able to get out for this value after we've already seen a season like we have from Zeke. Even though he was productive, like we see the role changing.
Yeah.
Well, Zeke was injured for the better part of last season. So there's the question of, was it him breaking down long term, or was this a high ankle sprain that he suffered mid-season and he tried to play through?
Oh, I don't see it as either. I just see it as somebody else becoming productive in that offense and his role kind of changing a little bit to where they don't have to lean on him as much. So he's not going to get the ridiculous, 30 touches a game. He might be towards 20. So is he probably going to be a running back 1? Yes. But is he going to be a running back 1 every week just due to the amount of opportunities? Maybe not.
Fair. So you're saying like a 200, 250 point running back?
I would say low, like closer to 200 than the 250.
Okay. All right. So I'm not going to talk about the Ravens Dolphins trade or the Bucks Rams trade because consolidation moves. Good for you. Bills Pats though. Burns and Hicks for Sanders, Schultz, and the 329. 3 offensive or draft capital position assets moving for 2 defensive assets. I don't know. I find myself both liking and disliking this deal.
I disliked it for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the type of trade that you do, like as Patriots. Like, I think you don't do this kind of trade unless you have depth at those offensive positions that you're selling. Like, he has to build an entire offense now. I mean, his defense is great, but he's going to have to break down some of those pieces in order to build out an offense.
Patriots is just living in the chaos. Like, he loves it. He did that chaotic mess last year where he was competing and then just randomly stopped competing, and now he's just continuing the trend. But this is awesome for the Bills. He has the depth on defense, and now he has depth on offense. He's going to be right back in it for contending.
I would be. I don't know if I would call that depth. He has some mediocrity at running back. He has even more mediocrity at wide receiver, and he found a starting tight end.
Okay, well, I mean, he's got more than what he had yesterday.
Not by much.
I guess
he at least had a promising defensive end.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah. He still does.
And Hicks, he was a very valuable linebacker last year, and you assume he's going to fill in for Anthony Barr. Like, I mean, I guess he's hoping Shaq Thompson and Jason Owe can kind of carry the load at the linebacker position, which they could. Kaiser White will not have another 200-point season. I would put money on that.
It's starting in Philly.
And Micah Kaiser might not even have a job.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you're trading defense for offense, it's usually a good value.
But not when you trade a premium defensive asset.
Yeah, the problem is Burns at that contract too. Like just over the course of his playing career, like he was going to be under market DE, and he was probably top 10 at least at the position, if not higher.
Yeah, he's like easily crept into the value where like you can expect to pay like that pay for a tier 2 wide receiver or a tier 2 running back. Like he's like a late first value or or more.
Or more, yeah.
You can typically like the team that's giving up the late is probably giving up something else.
I mean, Mike was saying that 107 could be the defensive end in this class, which wouldn't be that much more expensive or that much cheaper than what Burns would have been currently, and he's like 23. So you kind of argue that it's even higher than a late first.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at it that way of you look at, say it's Burns for Schultz because of the cost control of both and the position of both in the scarcity of position. You look at it that way, and then look at Sanders for Hicks and the fact I think the late third is maybe on the wrong side of the deal for me. But again, to RJ's point, I'm not sure if I'm going to criticize if I'm not going to crucify anybody on this one.
Yeah, actually, when you put it that way, I kind of like. I don't necessarily like it, just from like the Bills' perspective. Like, I think you could have got something else other than just a running back that kind of like doesn't necessarily catch your eye when you scroll through the roster. But like when you put it as like Burns for Schultz, that's not awful. Like I was asking a ridiculous amount for Schultz at some point when I had him. And like I know I got it, so like just like if I'm assuming that we're staying at the inflated price I was asking, then I guess it's reasonable.
All he had to do was sell Garrett, and he would have gotten a shitload more than he did for this.
Yeah, I think that's exactly who I would have tried to trade instead. But I mean, if Garrett was nearly untouchable before, he's probably never moving now.
Yeah, maybe I'll throw the 1-on-1 at him.
I mean, that was the answer here. I hope everybody takes away from this transitive property. If Schultz moved for Burns, if Burns is worth an early first pick, then everybody should be offering their early firsts for Albert O on the Colts.
I think